going to start in North London with Mikel Arteta against Ange Postecoglou, the North London derby. Spurs looking for their first league win at Arsenal since 2010. It finished Arsenal 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Stevie, Nicol, what a fantastic watch and a great game of football. Was a draw the right result, do you reckon?
Well, I would agree that certainly the first half was a good game of football, and we probably had about 3 or 4 minutes in the second half that all of a sudden the game came to life. I think if you're Arsenal, you have to be disappointed. I mean, particularly at half-time, you have, I would say, 40 minutes of complete and utter domination over Tottenham. You only find yourself a goal ahead, and then a 5-minute spell before half-time, and Tottenham are back in the game and get a goal. So at half-time, if you're Arsenal, you're thinking, my goodness. And then, of course, bad news for Arsenal. Declan Rice goes off. Arteta makes another change, takes Vieira off and puts Havertz on. And that, for me, really changed the game for Arsenal. I thought they were disappointing in the second half, as I said, but for 2 or 3 minutes where Arsenal get a penalty, Saka puts the ball away, and then, a minute later, Jorginho, who had come on for Declan Rice, horrendous, last man, loses the ball to Maddison, who puts Son through, and all of a sudden it's 2-2. So to be honest with you, if you're Arsenal, you're really disappointed, and it just goes to show, when you're on top, you have to take your chances and put the game away, because, as I said, after 40 minutes, it should have been 2, maybe 3 for Arsenal, but it was only 1. And that kept Spurs in the game, and they got the goal.
Yeah, it was 2 sides unbeaten, 4 wins and a draw going into this one in the Premier League. And it's, I suppose, Stevie, I agree with what you said. I think it's one of these, if you'd asked Arsenal fans before the game, if I give you a point right now, are you taking it? I don't think most would. If you ask Spurs fans, I think they probably would take a point and keep them unbeaten. You did a really good job of summing up some of the goals there. Let's go through them with a bit more of a fine-tooth comb. In the early stages, good to get your input here as a former fullback. Udogie, he was struggling to begin with. He was booked, and the Arsenal goal came from that side. It was kind of the first real time that Brennan Johnson, who was playing wide left for Spurs, had got back to help. Udogie actually tracks the runners. However, Brennan Johnson doesn't track Saka, and the shot coming in from the right-hand side deflects off Christian Romero for the own goal. But you got the sense around that time that if Arsenal were going to get joy, it was going to come down their right and Spurs left, didn't you?
Yeah, and it's no surprise. Listen, Saka absolutely is one of, if not their main weapon. And plenty of fullbacks before Udogie have struggled to control him. So I guess for me, the disappointing thing from a Spurs point of view is he comes inside, surprise, surprise, because you know he wants to do that and get on his left peg and try and whip a ball in that corner. And that's what he did. And so if I'm Spurs, I'm disappointed that more players weren't coming across, because although his shot wasn't goal-bound, he had far too much time to try and put it on target. And, of course, Romero, the ball's going at such pace that he really can't do too much. He can't let it go because it might be coming in, it might not. He sticks a leg out, hits him on the thigh and goes in, whilst the keeper's going the other way. So it was avoidable. And it was avoidable because I think more Spurs players should have shuffled across to that left-hand side and certainly backed Udogie up a little bit better than they did.
I thought the first 10 minutes was dreadful. It wasn't a good watch. And then up until about the 70th minute, I thought it was absolutely brilliant to watch. So Arsenal go 1-0 up. And at this stage, Spurs, as they're doing under Ange Postecoglou, they're using Vicario as like an outfield player. He's helping the goalkeeper to keep the passing moving and get it forward. His pass to Maddison, though, who was under pressure. Maddison was caught in possession, and Gabriel Jesus should have scored to make it 2. That would have made it a different game. That's what you were referring to earlier about those chances, because after that, Spurs got themselves back into it, but Jesus maybe a little bit rusty because he's not played that much.
Yeah, probably no question about that. He did have a chance at 0-0 from an angle that Vicario saved. So that wasn't his first attempt. But yeah, the strike at goal was, let's be honest, it was shocking. You know, it never at any stage when it left his foot did it look as though it was going anywhere close to the goal. It went high, high, and probably, 3-4 yards over the crossbar. And
Yeah.
he never even made Vicario make a save. So, yeah, you don't expect that. On the other hand, Maddison, you talk about lethargic. You know, you're picking a ball up, you're back to goal. You can argue whether Vicario should have given him it, but the fact is, it's the type of ball that we see played all the time in every league in the world. A little ball rolled to the edge of the box with whoever it may be, with their back to the opposition goal and facing their own goal. It's not a great ball, but it's one, as I said, we see all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Madison should have done better. Should have probably just played it back to Vicario first time. Didn't. But then from there, as we said, Jesus, with such a great opportunity, made a complete and utter mess of it.
I don't know if it was a turning point. However, after that, Spurs somehow got a bit of hope that, okay, they're still only 1-0 down. And there was a really good cutback from Son, I think it was, down the right-hand side that Brennan Johnson got the shot in. I don't know if he made proper contact on it. He certainly made enough contact, but it was a really good save from David Raya. But that was a sign of things to come, because as much as Bukayo Saka is good going forward, defensively, it left a little bit to be desired when he tried to put the challenge in on Maddison, allowed him to roll him too easy. James Maddison getting to the byline and cutting it back, and Spurs were level because Son makes that really good run in front of the defenders. At that stage, with the pressure that Spurs were having when they got the equaliser, was it deserved?
I don't think you can say deserved. I think it was a well-constructed goal. Mm-hmm. Yes, you said that Johnson had the chance earlier. He actually mishit it.
I thought so, yeah.
It came off his right foot and hit his left foot, and so there wasn't enough pace to take it past Raya, who did well to get back. But again, you know, Arsenal, you know, Saka's on his own. You know, nobody comes out to try and double up and help him. And the fact is that Maddison's touch must have gone 10, 12 yards ahead of him, which tells you how badly Arsenal actually defended this particular piece of play. But credit to Maddison. Nice ball back, and Son got in front of, 2, maybe 3 defenders and put it home. But to say they deserved it would be stretching the truth. I mean, if you were to tell Arteta that for 45 minutes you're going to have total control for 40 and they're going to have 5, you're more than happy with that.
You're taking it. Yeah.
You're more than happy with that. So the fact that Spurs actually scored during that short period of time where they actually got in the opposition half, then they've got to be delighted, because for 40 minutes they were way second best.
I know, having spent a lot of time in your company, and we did your book together, that probably shepherd's pie is your favourite thing in the world. I also know that your second favourite thing is talking about handball decisions for VAR. I'm not going to lead you anywhere. I'm just going to say Christian Romero was penalised for handball after the VAR suggested the referee have another look. What did you think about this?
I don't even think it's a question. It's a penalty kick. I mean, there's not. I don't even think there's an argument, is there?
We don't know, but no one knows anymore.
I couldn't figure out why it took them so long. I mean, it doesn't get any more obvious of a handball and a penalty kick than this. And the fact that they kept going back and back and back, I kind of got the feeling after a while that they were looking for a reason not to give it, because 100% when it happened, I thought it was a penalty kick. I'll maybe give the VAR a little bit of leeway, because they were looking at Gabriel and Maddison.
Gabriel Jesus, potential foul on Maddison up when the corner was delivered, yeah.
But it wasn't. Maddison went down like a... Yeah. Madison's gone down way too easy. Isn't any contact? Yeah, but contact all over the shop with balls into the box. But no, I was shocked it took so long. For me, absolutely 100% penalty kick, no danger.
Well, the question here is, they've taken as long because they've set this imaginary bar to a certain level that it is a high bar. So because it's not given on the field of play, he wants to just make sure. And I know I'm jumping forward here to stoppage time, but Udogie jumps for a late corner that Arsenal have, and it hits him in the hand when his hand is above his head, and it's not given. So Whether it is or whether it isn't a penalty, I don't know. That's the problem here. That if one's given, it's not a case of, right, that equals that. It's just like, where's the consistency? How are we, as fans of football, meant to know what is and what isn't a penalty these days? That's the annoying thing.
Well, the problem is there's such a grey area now between
Exactly.
what is and what isn't, that it's difficult to define what is and what isn't. I'm the same as you. When I saw the replay and I saw it happening, I'm thinking, you know, at the end of the day, his hand's above his head, which is a criteria. So yeah, but I don't know.
We've seen them given. That's the thing. We've seen them given before.
We find ourselves in a position where we don't know anymore. And that's
Correct.
the majority of us. And actually, it seems to be that the referees are probably in the same position as well. So it's kind of coming down to the interpretation of the VAR and the referee on any given day, because it's just not clear. And what's a penalty for one is not a penalty for another. But correct. I think in my world, that would have been harsh. But as I said, the first one on Romero is I think is a very, very easy one to give.
I wonder what the Premier League table would look like if Stevie Nicol's world was used and he was in charge of VAR decisions.
Well, Liverpool would be top of the league, I can tell you that.
Hey, they're second. We'll get on to that after their win today. Yeah. Now, the Spurs equaliser. Declan Rice has had to go off at halftime with a calf injury, part of a double change. Kai Havertz coming on as well for Fabio Vieira. So it's a mistake. It's a horrible mistake by Jorginho, and it's really good from Maddison. I mean, yeah, he made a mistake in the first half, but when he plays, Spurs really do play, and it was a brilliant ball to Son. It was timed perfectly, and an early finish gave the goalkeeper no chance. I think it was like 90 seconds after the euphoria of Saka's penalty that suddenly they're back on level terms. And again, you could see, I think there was one angle, Stevie, of Mikel Arteta. They had the dugout camera, and he just put his head in his hands and was like, he kind of knew, didn't he, after the Jorginho mistake, that they were in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you get yourself ahead with a penalty, and then all of a sudden you've just given it back to them. And you got to give credit, as you said, you know, Maddison and Son, it's pretty clear that if you're going to undo Spurs, then you have to keep control of Maddison and Son. I think if any side does that, then they've got a great opportunity to beat Spurs. Because really everything they do going forward is sort of centred around those two. But saying that, there's no way that they should have been put in a position where they could do what they did. As you said, a great ball from Maddison and then a super finish from Son. That should not have happened. You know, I guess, again, at the end of the day, the few chances that Spurs had, you talk about quality finishes. I mean, absolutely fantastic, but it shouldn't have happened. It's a complete and utter schoolboy error from a player who's about as experienced as anybody else on the field. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think if you're Arteta, disappointed doesn't really cut it. Just a huge blow.
We'll wrap up our thoughts about the North London derby just by hoping that both Bukayo Saka and James Maddison are okay, because the slow-mo replays of Maddison's little kind of knee bend in the turf didn't look good. He played on, but then was subbed. And Bukayo Saka, again, didn't look good, got up, played on, and clearly wasn't 100%. Just one of these we'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, these are two key players for two really good sides.
Yeah, and to be honest, I guess Maddison would be the more important of the two, because, you know, Arsenal do have more weapons than Bukayo Saka, as good as he is. Spurs, on the other hand, they cannot replace what Maddison does for them. I mean, he really is the playmaker. Everything that Spurs do well going forward is around him. So if he was to be missing for a period of time, I think they would feel it a lot harder than Arsenal. Arsenal, yes, they don't have anybody the same as Saka, but I think they have the ability to cover up whilst he would be out. But yeah, I'm with you. Hopefully these two guys can just get some treatment and get over it, and hopefully we see them again next time both sides are stepping on the field.